and welcome to Alexander Armstrong's Big Ask. This is the show that boldly asks questions no other show will dare to ask by getting guests to delve deep into their brains and dig out some amazing facts. Facts such as, did you know that cars were first made with ignition keys in 1949? Before that, swingers' parties involved picking out a stranger's crank handle. Research shows that squirrels forget where they've put 50% of the nuts they've hidden. Worst part is, when spring arrives, they realise they're on the whole table all the time. Oh. Tonight I'm joined by three comedians so well known they are literally part of the furniture. We've a charming tall boy from Manchester, a delightful chair from the news quiz, a smart dresser from Loose Ends. Please welcome Jason Manford, Sandy Toksvig and Clive Anderson.
Oh, my Lord, it's like my club. It's so comfortable.
Is it? Now, Jason, of course, you're no longer merely a stand-up comic. You're doing a bit of acting at the moment, and also musical theatre.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, we have a picture. There!
What was the show, then?
I was in Sweeney Todd with, Michael Ball and Imelda Staunton. It was all right, yes. I was dead by 8:30, to be honest.
Oh, there you go.
Do you know, I made my professional debut with Imelda Staunton, and she and I are both of diminutive height, and we shared a dressing room that was known as the Midget's Quarters.
Clive, was your dressing room all right this evening?
The dressing room was fine. It wasn't haunted by the ghosts of some dead light entertainer from years ago.
OK, well, this is round one, and I've given each of you a category, and I've asked you to reach into your respective brains and pull out a question that will test your fellow guests. So I do hope you've been swatting up. Now, if anyone manages to get a question that nobody can answer, they score 10 points.
Ooh.
If you answer the question, you score 5 points. And it's as simple as that. OK, now, Jason, for you, I've chosen the colour yellow. The colour of sunshine, happiness, buttercups and double lines. Oh, she's had work done, hasn't she? Look at that. Yes, Jason, what's the question you are going to ask?
OK. In 1793, after an outbreak of yellow fever in Philadelphia, a young doctor called Stubbins Firth, he did something quite extreme to prove that it wasn't contagious. But what was it?
Wow.
Wow, Stubbins Firth.
That's what I'm calling him.
That's
his name.
Stubbins Firth.
That's his name.
And he was definitely the first person... I'm so sorry.
So this is yellow fever?
Yellow fever,
yeah.
And he wanted to prove it wasn't contagious in any way.
Please, Clive, Sandy,
Yes.
do feel free to write down your answers.
Yeah.
Were you sickly ever? Are you generally sickly?
Not really. I remember going through a point, there was loads of adverts about testicular cancer on the telly, and I just suddenly got this panic of going, like, every time I was in the shower going, hang on, what's that? One time it was just a Rice Krispie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did it get in there?
Just, you know, when you're not concentrating. So I went into the doctor's, and I said, oh, I just have got a little bit of a lump, I think, on my left. And then the word testicle just went, and I heard myself go, bollock. There was a weird moment where I was lay on the couch and he was, you know, he's doing all that, checking, having a little feel, checking, and you're looking at everything else that's not him. And he's having a check. And after, I don't know, 20 minutes? No, after a few seconds, we sort of caught each other's eye. And we had the moment of looking at each other, and there was a moment of silence, and we sort of did that thing that you do in the street where you go...
Boys think it's so bad. Have you any idea what a woman has to go through? You have to lie with your legs apart and somebody comes at you with something that looks like the Eiffel Tower. It's the most...
So, Jason's question was...
Right. Yes.
How did Stubbins Firth prove yellow fever wasn't contagious? Sandy.
OK, so I've come up with, I hope I've spelled it correctly, necrophilia. He had sex with somebody who died from yellow fever. That was not that shocking, then.
Yeah, maybe I oversold it.
You sold the shocking, oversold the shocking. Yeah.
Clive.
I just had he slept with as many women with yellow fever as possible, which I think combines demonstrating you don't get it, you know, from touching people, with a certain amount of enjoyment out of the whole process. Has Sandy got to spend the rest of the show with a sign saying necrophilia?
So let's just figure, he's engaging in some way with people who are alive with it.
Yes, they're definitely alive.
Is there an animal go-between?
An animal go-between? What do you whisper things to? Send them in?
I'm still on the shocking thing.
Let's say necrophilia's 10.
Right.
On the scale of
shocking. Yeah.
Let's put this about an 8.
Oh.
I mean, to be honest, before you wrote that, it was 10, but now I'm thinking, hang on.
Was he licking the open wounds of a yellow fever? Well, I'm just suggesting something not
I would say
necrophilia.
This is where the animal thing came in.
That would be a 6 on my scale.
That's a 6, so something
Still worse than that.
Still worse than
Okay,
that.
so what is it, Jason?
He drank their vomit.
OK, I think that's a 10, and necrophilia sounding pretty good to me.
Oh, it's a way of getting someone else's 5 a day, isn't it?
Well, it's a...
And what happened to him? Did he...
He died of yellow fever.
Yeah.
No, he's absolutely fine. So.
The reason he didn't contract yellow fever was because his patients were all in the latter stages of the disease and so therefore no longer contagious. So, Jason, your question was, what was wrong with Stubborn Firth's yellow fever experiment? The answer was he drank the vomit of his patients and by doing so proved absolutely nothing, except Tic Tacs can't work miracles. So, well done, Jason. You've left Sandy and Clive high and dry. 10 points for you, sir. Very well done. Good. Sandy, it's your turn next.
Right.
And for you...
Yes.
I've chosen the category barbarians because you are everybody's idea of a noble savage.
What did the Hun in the 5th century need in order to prepare a meat dish?
OK, Clive. Jason.
It's a funny thing about the Hun, you know, they talk all the time about the boys. There were some fantastic female warriors amongst them,
Really?
for example. Princess Kutaloon.
Princess Gutelu?
Kutaloon.
Kutaloon.
She said, any man who can wrestle me and win, I will marry. And any man who wrestles me and loses has to give me 100 horses. And Marco Polo writes that she concluded her life unmarried with 10,000 horses.
Was she happy?
Yes, darling. Trust me, a woman who can ride 10,000 horses is entirely content. Reminds me of school when we used to take our bicycle across the cobbles, but that's a long time ago.
Sandy asked...
Yes.
What did the Hun require in the kitchen when preparing meat? OK, Clive, have you got an answer for this?
I just imagine them using as a pot the head of an enemy, cooking the meat inside the head of his enemy.
It shows a little corner of your brain we had no idea about.
Yes.
And, Jason, what have you got?
I didn't know where this was invented, so...
Do you think that the Hun invented Nando's? Is that what you're suggesting?
It's been around for ages.
OK, what did the Hun require to prepare a meat dish? Sandy.
The answer is a horse and their thighs.
Come dine with me is never going to be the same, is it?
So what used to happen was that the Hun would have a very nice piece of meat and they would put it in a linen bag and they would then put it on the saddle of their horse and then they would get on and they would ride. And the action of riding would kind of tenderise the meat and when they got back it was in a fantastic state and ready to be cooked. And this was a common method of... in fact, bizarrely, was used up until about 20 years ago in the Tour de France. It was not uncommon. It was not uncommon. Oh, yes, before they went drug crazy. It was not uncommon for riders to put a stake down their cycling shorts in order to avoid saddle boils.
Now, of course, the famous Hun we are talking about is this man here, Attila the Hun. One of the toughest men in all history, but I did read somewhere that he died from a nosebleed. So, yes, whatever they lacked in culinary sophistication, they made up for in high-quality cocaine. That's nice. Now, with all this talk about Huns, I'd quite like to talk to an eminent friend of mine, a fine geographical historian and famous dad off the telly, Hugh Dennis. And I've actually got him here. I'm just going to call him up. He knows a thing or two.
Oh, this is very high-tech.
Isn't it? Hugh, are you there?
Hello there. Can I just say I'm sitting on a pound of raw steak?
You always are. But...
Now, Hugh, tell us what you know about Attila the Hun.
Attila the Hun was responsible for the establishment of Venice. When he attacked that particular bit of Italy that Venice is in, all the inhabitants ran off and saved their cornettos by building a town in a lake.
Where are you?
I'm in Glasgow.
What are you doing up in Glasgow, Hugh?
I'm presenting a thing called the Customer Care Awards.
Excellent.
And customer care, of course, is, you know, not something the Huns particularly bothered with.
What advice would you give to the Huns?
I think they could just have done with being a bit nicer, frankly. If they had their time again, just try and sort it out by talking.
Oh, Hugh, enjoy the rest of your trip. Thanks for joining us. Hugh Dennis, everybody. Go. Well, Sandy asked the question. What did the Huns use in their kitchen? And the answer was a horse.
Yes.
Nobody got the answer. So a 10-point laden hat doff to you, Sandy, for thwarting Jason and Clive. Very, very well done indeed. 10 points to you. Fantastic. Now, Clive, it is your turn, and for you we have chosen recycling, which we happened to have as a topic yesterday, but we thought we'd use it again.
So, which recycled sporting mixture did well-connected women in ancient Rome use for face cream or an aphrodisiac?
OK,
wow,
Jason and Sandy, write down your answers to that. Clive, do you have a regime at all? I mean, you look so damned youthful.
I don't have much of a regime, no. I don't, neither for my face nor for the aphrodisiac purposes either, I think. Of course, the thing that people use nowadays, I'm told, is Viagra. And that was discovered by accident, because they weren't trying to produce Viagra. It was something to do with sort of heart disease. And when they were experimenting, obviously the workers suddenly thought, God, I'm getting really enthusiastic about this one.
I like the joke about the old fella. He's 90 years old and he goes into the chemist. He says, do you sell Viagra? They say, yeah, of course we do. He says, well, can I get a tablet? Can you chop it into quarters? He says, a quarter of a tablet will do nothing for your sex life. He says, sex life? I'm 90. I just need it to stick out so I don't piss on my slippers.
Are you a good recycler, Clive?
Jokes, certainly, but they make it sort of easy for you now around my way. They come and take things away, you know, newspapers...
Yeah, but how many different things do you have to put them in? We have 4.
Oh, really?
The worst thing is, I don't know what colour bin goes out on what day, so I just do what everyone else does and copy that bloke who lives across the road. He just always knows. He's like the oracle of the street. He, like, puts his blue one out. I think, right, nice one, blue. That'll do. And he could be doing anything. I don't know. He could just wind me up one day, just put the brown one out and then just go in laughing. Not even brown today.
So Clive's question was, what recycled sports-based mixture did well-connected women in ancient Rome use as face cream and aphrodisiac? Sandy.
OK. I've put Olympic sweat.
Well, Olympic sweat.
Yeah.
Olympic sweat.
OK. What have we got?
I put Lucozade.
Oh, I think yours is way better.
You'll get a free crate of Lucozade now sent to you.
Well, I'm hoping for that and some piri-piri sauce.
What it wasn't quite Olympics, which is a bit more Greek than Roman,
but... sweat from the Colosseum?
It's from the gladiators. They didn't really have soap in ancient Rome, so the way everybody washed, if they were minded to do it, was they would put oil over their body, and then you'd scrape the oil off your body again, and that would bring with it the dirt and the sweat off your body. But gladiator sweat, and I've got something here to demonstrate this in my pocket. Let me get it out. This is a strigil. This is what
I thought you were going to get some sweat out.
Yeah, this is what you use. This thing with a slight sort of shape, and you scrape your sweat off with the oil, put it into a bottle, and these women who were like the fans would buy this stuff, and they would either rub it on their face or they would sort of rub it on their husbands, their rather feeble, older husbands, to put a bit of a gladiator
Bit of vim back into...
Bit of vim. Wow. They didn't have vim, they had oil, you see.
Stubbins Firth would just get that...
Oh, he loves that.
Run his thumb up the... up the strigil. Many emperors like to take part in the Colosseum as well. Nero once fought a lion armed only with a spear. I say only. Holding a spear is pretty impressive for a lion, I'd have thought. But anyway, there we are. I asked, what did Roman gladiators do with the oily gunk they scraped off their bodies? And the answer is they would sell it as a perfume and anti-aging cream to Rome's desperate villa wives. Now, Sandy, you got that right. I'm going to give you the 5 points there.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very, very well done indeed. Fantastic. Well, that's it for part 1. We'll be exploring more great wisdom after the break. Like this, there is a fruit grown in Africa called miracle fruit, which can temporarily change a human's taste buds. Although we have our own British substance, which can do exactly the same job. It's called white lightning cider. I'll see you in a minute. Armstrong's Big Ask. Now, I've been rummaging around once again in the Armstrong collection of treasured objects, looking for something to inspire my guests. And do you know what? I think I have found just the thing to stimulate their ask muscles. And this is it?
Mine are contracting even as we speak.
What do we think this is?
It's clearly an ostrich, which is going on a life of crime, and has put that mask on to avoid detection.
It's a plague mask.
It is, of course, a plague mask.
It's a mask that was worn to avoid the plague. Did you know that the plague came to Britain through Weymouth? And I once mentioned this on a television programme, and I got a letter from the mayor saying I shouldn't come to Weymouth again. I hadn't been planning to go, but it's
so
just
you're avoiding Weymouth like the plague?
No, well, yes.
Do you know how they worked? Well, I say how they worked. What basically, they'd fill this nose full of pungent things like lavender and...
cloves.
Camphor and sponges soaked in vinegar. And it did absolutely nothing.
It would work, wouldn't it? Because if it comes from rats, a rat seeing that coming down the street
that's true. Fair point.
Run away.
Shit, it's a massive crow.
Giant.
Run!
So the subject is life and death. Life and death. I think we have a picture here. There we go.
Oh!
Madonna and child. I'd like each of you to come up with a question on the topic of life and death. Then I will pick my favourite question, and the other two will have to see if they can answer it. OK, so, Jason, what life and death query have you brought along with you?
It's called life, I think. That's nice, isn't it? The Argonaut octopus can do something with one of its appendages that no one here, audience included, can do. What is it?
Wow.
This is a great question, because this is Jason and the Argonauts question.
Yeah? Sandy, a life and death question.
1,000 years ago, the monks of the Dainichibo temple in northern Japan...
Oh, say that again.
Dainichibo.
Lovely.
Temple in northern Japan followed the ultimate diet. And what was it?
Clive, what are you going to say?
How did an MP die while sucking up to the Duke of Wellington in 1830?
How did an MP die in 1830, sucking up to the Duke of Wellington? How did the monks of Dainichibo go on the ultimate diet?
Yeah, what was the ultimate diet?
And the Argonaut octopus
Yes.
does something amazing with its appendage.
Yes.
Do you know what, Dainichibo, obviously I want to know about it, and of course I want to know about the sucking up MP, but who doesn't want to know about the appendage of... yes, so we will be going with your question.
OK.
Sandy, though, briefly, the Dainichibo monks. How did they go on the ultimate diet?
Yeah, what was the ultimate diet? So what they would do is they would eat bark and roots and seeds and stuff over a 6-year period, and then they would drink the sap from a particular tree. And this basically caused them to vomit a lot, and they would basically mummify themselves over a 6-year period until they finally ended up basically not really able to move, not feeling too clever, actually. And they'd sit in the lotus position in a tomb that was made just their shape, with an air tube and a bell, and they would ring the bell every day if they were alive, and then once the bell stopped ringing, it became a kind of a human Buddha.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's weird.
Yes, it is quite weird. It's very unpleasant.
I'd still rather do that than a Gillian McKeith diet, though.
Yeah.
I used to like it when she used to go through people's poo and then go, there's something wrong with what you're doing with your life. And you go, really, out the two?
Yeah.
Out the two?
Yeah.
Really?
Clive.
Can I guess yours, Clive? Are we allowed to guess?
Yes.
You're doing so well.
It's something to do with the railway.
It is. You know everything, Sandy, today.
I think this MP was trying to show off, and he's the very first fatality on a British railway.
It's virtually the first fatality, yes. It was the... What's so awful about it? It was the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
This was Stockton to Darlington, was it?
Well, Liverpool to Manchester.
Right.
Anyway, he's striding up, and he noticed the Duke of Wellington was there, who was the Prime Minister at the time, and he thought he'd just have a chat, because they'd fallen out over something political, and he was sort of chatting away to the Prime Minister, not realising that there was a train, in fact, it was Stephenson's rocket, coming in the other direction, and it killed him. Of course, the way that...
Wellington might have gone behind you.
Anyway, Jason, back very quickly to your question, which was...
So the Argonaut octopus can do something with one of its appendages
Right.
that no one else here can do.
Jason, do you have sturdy sea legs?
No, I'm terrible.
Really?
You know, there's gigs on cruise ships and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Have you done them?
I've done one once, and I was on stage, and the boat's like that, and I was going, oh. In the middle of it, I had to go, and all the comics, like horrible, terrible, died a death. Like none of us were funny, all of us green, and the next morning at breakfast, you obviously got to eat breakfast with the audience who were there the night before. Everyone's literally in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I was eating my breakfast, and this bloke sat down opposite me, and he went, "Oh, it was terrible last night, wasn't it?" I went, "What?" And he went, "You know, that comedy night." And I had my head down, I was going, I thought that young lad in the middle was all right.
So, Sandy and Clive, we want to find out what the Argonaut octopus can do with one of its appendages that Jason assumes none of us can.
I'm not confident because I don't know how you'd prove this, but you know how you can't tickle yourself? I think it's got one of its appendages that it can tickle itself. So how you can tell when an octopus is tickling itself, I don't know. Maybe the other ones are all going...
So I've said that maybe it could see through one of its appendages.
See?
Oh.
That
What,
it could...
in addition
round
to
the
its
corner.
eye?
Like a sort of periscopy
Oh,
thing.
that would be
type thing.
brilliant. Yeah, that must be right.
It would be brilliant.
Wouldn't it
It
be
would be
brilliant?
useful. If there was, like, walls and corners under the
Yeah.
seat.
So what is it?
What is the
Right,
answer? Go on.
so this is weird. So one of its arms at the bottom has a sperm ball, right, and can detach from
Sperm ball?
Yeah.
Do you mean a
ball-
bollock?
Yeah.
Right, it's the only time that's ever used as a singular.
Does it sound nice when I say it?
I like it. Yeah.
Tell you, it feels odd in my mouth, I tell you.
So it can detach one of its legs, one of its arms, legs, I presume they're the same. And at the bottom of it, the base of it, there's a sperm ball, and that swims off to the female of the species, does the job of...
On its own?
By itself.
It's
What?
a detachable penis.
A detachable penis. Now, at first, your reaction is, and then you go, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Because that means you can watch Match of the Day.
Yeah.
If this octopus is before a tribunal accused of not being very nice to some woman, I wasn't even there.
So it swims off and then swims back again.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Well,
Well, you'd hope you get your one back as well.
Well, how does it know where to swim back to? Has it got a sort of homing... it's a homing penis.
I imagine... I don't know about you, Clive, but if my penis could detach, I'd not be that far away from it at any...
I think we need David Attenborough for this, don't we?
Yeah.
And here I'm behind a detachable penis.
Yes, that is the Argonaut octopus alongside his Free Willy. The real name for the detachable penis is the Hectocotylus, which is a cephalopodic arm modified to deliver a sperm-containing sac to a female. There you are. Is it an arm or a penis? That's a problem I'd like to have. OK, well, listen, that's the end of this round. A superb question from Jason. 10 points to you. Very, very well done. So time for our next round, which I'm going to call Ask a Potentially Offensive but Definitely Hilarious Question to a Celebrity of My Choice. I hope that's clear enough. So, OK, let's kick off with Tonguey Chef, Jamie Oliver.
Oh, I say,
Sure,
it's
what's
cat.
he come as?
Did you know if you don't keep saying lovely jubbly and bing bang bosh, you can do your 30-minute meals in 15? The other question I'd like to ask him is, please could you stop tackling childhood obesity? And the reason I say that, right, is because children's clothing has got no VAT and I buy it, and at the moment the size is just right.
I wonder if he knows he's the cause of the London riots.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. Well, until he started putting healthy meals at school dinners, they didn't have the energy for all that, did they? When I watched the news, there was no fat, wheezy kids setting fire to Foot Locker.
Do you know, I felt really bad during the London riots because I was at a reception, at a charity reception up in the post office tower, and we were drinking champagne, and it was all and somebody went, "Oh look, I think that's Croydon on fire."
I was performing in a theatre about 200 metres from where these riots were happening, and the audience were a bit nervous, and I had to sort of go out and say, "We'll be all right here. These people don't know where the theatre is. This is what are they going to do here?" Like, just get like, "We're getting tickets for Mamma Mia." It's not going to happen, is it? Looting the theatre.
You had some weird experience in your dressing room, though. Is this
I was
true?
in a haunted dressing room, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you believe in all that. I was talking to my daughter on Skype, and she's 3.
Yeah.
And she was at home. She just went, "Daddy, what is that man doing behind you?" And I said, "What?" I said, "What does he look like?" She said, He's a soldier." I went, "Hang on now, what's going on here?" But I spoke to the company manager at the theatre, and apparently this guy was stabbed at stage door in 1897, an actor, by an understudy who'd obviously, you know what they're like.
Yeah.
And he wanted the part, I presume, and that's probably the best way, rather than just working harder. But that night was he was actually making his debut in a play called The Secret Service, where he was playing a lieutenant in the American Army.
Wow.
I know, so...
Oh, there you are.
Weird, isn't it?
Next, Running Man, Mo Farah.
I say, do you know the rest of YMCA?
After you've run 10,000 metres round the track, is it annoying to find you back where you started?
He's too nice to ask a difficult question.
It's true. Next, the sinew of pop, Madonna.
Do you know the meaning of the word age-appropriate?
I've seen your film about Wallace Simpson. Can I have that 2 hours of my life back?
I've got loads of kids. Do you want one?
After all the time you've spent in the gym, will it annoy you when you and I die at the same age?
Next, short driver, Richard Hammond.
Do you realise that crashing at 286 miles an hour is nature's way of telling you to slow down?
Did you want me to play the Stig again in the next series?
Have you, during some, like, blokey male banter on Top Gear, ever gone to full penetrative sex? Has it ever gone that far? Could have.
Where did that question come from?
Yeah.
Just thinking, you know when banter goes too far, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You're having a bit of a laugh and then someone gets the willy out.
Next, we have arson. I'm sorry I didn't see Wenger.
Do you know you've dropped those watermelons?
As the wisest, cleverest and most knowledgeable football manager in the entire world, who do you think's going to win the Premiership? Manchester City, Manchester United or Chelsea?
Do you know during the transfer window you are allowed to buy players and not just sell them?
Yeah.
Next up, rangy shopwoman Mary Portas.
Who are you?
Do you have a drawstring behind your ears that opens and closes your fringe? You know how they have all those things for women's shapes? They have pear shape and apple shape. But the question I would ask her is, why do clothes shops not cater for my shape? Quarter pounder with cheese.
And finally, shouty crosspatch Jeremy Paxman.
Since you're so much cleverer than everybody else you interview, why aren't you running the country?
Yes, good point. Yes, nicely
Good
put
one,
there,
Clive. Good one. Fuck you, Paxton!
Yeah.
There we are. OK, well, that's the end of that round. Never was so much scorn thrown at so many by so few. But for venting the best spleen, I think I'm going to choose Sandy as my winner of that round. So 5 points to Sandy. Very well done indeed. Well, it's presentation time, and tonight's glittering prize is the Tomlinson's School Summer Fate Silver Cup, which I got for my work in Cake and Fancies. And tonight, I would like to award this to our winner, Sandy Toxvig.
Oh.
There we are. Let me hand that to you. There we are. Very, very well done. Very well done indeed. Now, that only leaves me to thank my guests, Jason Manford, Sandy Toxvig and Clive Anderson. Please give it up, whatever that means. Gore Vidal once said, I never miss a chance to have sex or appear on television, and yet ITV still turned him down for I'm a Celebrity. Good night.